held by our next guest, Charley Carter, who joins us. Charley set the record in 1998. Look at that guy, man. Welcome to you. We appreciate your time this morning, and great to see you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's obviously I follow the Bears every year, and it's exciting to see Tyce have the kind of season that he's having. Obviously, similar trend, kind of transferring in as a senior, and same position. So there's some similarities there for sure.
Yeah, a lot of similarities, and I'm not surprised that you keep up. You really keep up with the program and the games pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, obviously with Mitch coming back in and with Jimmy there, and they're just some familiar faces and names and guys that I have a connection with that will stand the test of time. So definitely have followed them ever since I left, but especially in the last few years, kind of reconnected with Mitch coming back around, and so it's been great to see the program just continue to kind of move forward, and hopefully they'll have a chance here to finish the season strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch probably recruited you out of Mount Pleasant, or did he? You went to MCC first.
I was across the way there at McLennan for a couple of years, and then ended up going to Texas for my junior year, and then just situation things kind of happened, and I think of the first baseman that they had brought in from New Mexico State kind of had a struggle his junior year like I did at Texas, and so created an opening. And honestly, I think my old coach Paul Miller reached out to Mitch and in that summer and kind of said, "Hey, he's looking for a place. Do you guys interested?" And so I think I stopped in there, and he said, "Well, I've got some books that I can give you for the fall, but you can come and be a part of the program." And I said, "I'll take it." And so that's how I got to Baylor for my senior year. I got my books paid for, and the rest is history. So,
oh my gosh, that's a story, and the rest is history. Really good Baylor baseball history. That '98 season for you, one of the best by any player in Baylor history. I mean, Jason Jennings was really good, but I think your numbers would stack up with his very favorably. Also, let's be honest here. You were very kind in your departure from the University of Texas. They basically sent you packing, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a coaching change there, and so I think it was just it was one of those situations. It was not just me. There were several guys that kind of got caught up in that transition, and really it was just a different philosophy. I mean, Coach Garrido came in from the West Coast and just really had a different philosophy of the style of baseball that he wanted to play, and obviously Coach Gustafson had something that was kind of on the other end of that spectrum. And I was, a bigger player who, that was more of a power hitter. And that was what Coach Gustafson tended to kind of look for. And so when Coach Garrido came in, it just was more of a conflict of style than anything else. And I didn't play extremely well that year as well. So I didn't, obviously lend myself to say, "Hey, you should keep me around." And they were gracious in releasing me and not with, restricting me at that point. It was a lot difficult to transfer, and especially to transfer within the conference. And so they were gracious enough to not block me from going anywhere that would give me an opportunity to play. And, it came back to bite them a little bit, but again, they were gracious enough to let me go. So.
Yeah, I would say. All right, let's remind everybody. So your senior year, you're here at Baylor. You've been cut by UT, and we go to Austin to play a 3-game series down there. Tell everybody how that weekend went for you.
Yeah, so back then, if you remember, we would do a split with A&M and Texas.
Okay.
So we would play one and then 2.
Gotcha.
Is the way they kind of structure that. So we had the Friday night game in Waco, and then we went to Austin for the Saturday and Sunday game. And Friday night game, I ended up having a walk-off, a sacrifice fly. Actually, I think the bases were loaded, but ended up with a sac fly to center to walk off that game. And I think I was maybe 3 for 4 that night. And then Saturday game, I think I was 2 for 4. And then Sunday, I had hit a 3 for 4 game, hit a home run, kind of my last at bat down there. And it was just kind of capped off. We swept them for that weekend, so it really kind of capped off the weekend, and so it was. I think my teammates were aware of kind of the gravity of that weekend for me personally, but and of course at that point, we were getting we were in the rankings. We were having a really good season, and so it was just one of those. It was a special weekend that, there's a lot of memories that are still in the previous guy, the time continuum thing. I mean, I have no idea how he does that. I don't either. My brain doesn't work like that. But this weekend, I remember quite a bit around that one.
That one sticks out pretty well, doesn't it?
It does.
You know what? It does in my mind as well. So it was so cool to be there and see you play that well. But it wasn't just that weekend. I mean, you had a fantastic year, 402 batting average, I think 372 maybe in conference games, 21 home runs we've talked about, 86 RBIs, slugging percentage 772 for that year. Charley, that was an unbelievable college baseball season.
Yeah, obviously the previous year was such a struggle. So to come in and be able to perform at that level obviously was very gratifying. I probably couldn't have envisioned that type of season when we first started. But it kind of did from the beginning. I think I actually started that season with a 22 game hit streak. Like I figured if I got a hit in every game, then Coach Smith could not take me out of the lineup.
Right.
Because I think originally, I was kind of I think they envisioned me as a platoon guy.
Wow.
Would probably play against left-handed starters and would sit against right-handed starters. And so went to Arizona and got the start. I would think I was hitting 7th or 8th in the lineup that first weekend out in Arizona, and had a good weekend, got a hit in every game, had a double, and had a couple of RBIs, and then came back. I think the next weekend, I think I maybe had a home run the next weekend. I think it was the third weekend that kind of the doors kind of busted open. I had a couple of home runs, and at that point really started gaining some momentum, and it just kind of went from there. But that was again, the finished product was far exceeded what my even own expectations were for what I was hoping to be able to accomplish that year.
Wow. What a season. What a great season. And what a great team. I mean, you had a lot of guys around you. You mentioned Jim Blair was there, and you overcame him being your teammate, to do some great things. But that was a really, really good Baylor team.
Oh, I mean, one, the guys were amazing. To be able to come in at that point as a senior, and most of those guys had kind of been the core group that I think Coach Smith and Mitch had started to really rebuild the program with. And so for them, I think of Brian Loeb and Chad Polk and Jeremy Dodson and John Topolsky and Eric Nelson. I mean, Preston Underdown, Matthew Markham. I mean, there were a number of Jennings, Jake Baskin. There were just so many guys that, again, when I kind of walked in for that first meeting, their just willingness to kind of open their arms and let me be a part of the team. And again, at that point, I was just looking for a shot. I wanted one more go around. And if things worked out and I got a chance to play after that, that was great. But I didn't want to finish with the way I finished at my year at Texas. And so for those guys to be willing to, again, open their arms and allow me to come in and kind of fit in and just be a part of the team. And then, obviously as things progress throughout the season, it was I think it was enjoyable for all of us. We were winning again. We were bringing the program back to the, kind of back to the spotlight and back to the postseason. And so those guys had a much greater part because they really built it, for 2 or 3 years and kind of culminating to that point. So I was just one of those pieces that came in and was able to contribute at that particular season. But those other guys, they had done a lot of the groundwork to get the program back on track and going in the right direction.
I was digging for pictures. Here's one that I found. I think it's you and Preston Underdown and Matthew Markham in all your brilliance there. So
that as you can tell, I never quite had the physique of Preston, and so me and Matthew were probably a little more closely aligned in our physique, which probably holds true to this day as well. I've seen Preston and a couple of times, and I'm not sure he's aged today.
Yeah, I bet.
From that point. So that was definitely a unique look. I'm not sure that would make any cover of a magazine. That's for sure.
That's a good memory to see you three guys there together. And you're right, that core of Baylor guys with Top and Eric Nelson and Preston and Brian Loeb and all those guys. I mean, they had been here, hadn't they? I mean, and the program had steadily built with Coach Smith. And then you were, I'm thinking you were kind of the missing piece, and you come in and do what you did, and the team just skyrocketed there.
Yeah, again, I think their trajectory was probably in that way anyways. I mean, again, if you look at the kind of top 6 or 7 between, I just think of our lineup with Topolsky leading off, Nelson was hitting second, Jimmy was hitting third, either me or Jason was hitting 4th or 5th. Dodson was hitting 6th. Who this previous year he set the record with 19 home runs the previous year.
Right.
So there again, I think there were a lot of already pieces in place. And so for me, it was just one of those, kind of a perfect storm for me to jump in with a group that were already ascending. And I, again, was one piece. I don't know that I was the finishing piece or the missing piece or anything like that. I mean, I think I just was one more piece that they could plug in the lineup and be productive and have a successful season.
That's a great lineup, top to bottom, and pitchers to go along with it. Was there, so the previous school record for home runs in a season was set just the year before by Jeremy Dodson, who his son is on this year's team. You know that, right?
We communicate a lot.
Okay, I'm sure.
Jeremy, Dottie and I, we have maintained our friendship over these many years. His son is actually his son is named Cade. My son is actually named Cade. So we've talked this, of course, when I knew Cade was joining Baylor after his year at UTA last year, I said, that's awesome. I'm so excited. So as the season has gone on, we've communicated, and unfortunately, with Cade getting injured here within the last couple of weeks and having to have surgery. So, hate that for him, but pray for his recovery, and hopefully he's, good to go here in the fall. But he texted me and was like, you didn't even let me hold the record for more than a year. It was 1 year. Like, you couldn't even let me have it for longer than 1 year. So, so needless to say, yes, we have some good banter going back and forth. So
that's pretty good. So you broke the record a year after Dottie had set it. And do you remember a big buildup? I mean, when you get to 16, 17, 18, he's got the record at 19. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I really don't, to be honest with you, John. I mean, I know I remember I hit my last one. I hit 21 at the Big 12 tournament against Missouri. I think that was back when we were playing at Oklahoma City. At the
Brick
ballpark there in Bricktown. So I do remember 21, but I don't remember 20. I'd have to go back and look up to see where 20 was to win that. It could have been against A&M that last weekend series.
Okay.
On that Sunday, I did hit one on that Sunday. So that could have been 20, but I would have to go back and look. At that point, of course, I was not thinking about a record or anything like that. I just was, we were just trying to finish strong, win the conference, which we came up a little bit short versus A&M. But that was definitely not my focus, but it was, looking back, I would say I did remember the last one I hit. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, good. Understandable. Sure. Yeah. You were a team first guy anyway, but what do you think about this year and Tyce Armstrong? And I mean, he's got 18 home runs now and several games left to be played. I mean, he could take that record from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously, like you mentioned, I mean, he started the first game and the season with a bang, and I think I turned on ESPN. I pulled the game up right as his last at bat, and I saw his stat, like he had 2 grand slams, and I was like, oh wow, that's, you know. And then literally within the 3rd pitch, he hit the 3rd one, and I just started screaming like, oh my gosh, he just hit another grand slam. And so so of course, and again with Dodson, Jeremy kind of had given me a little bit of, you know, input with Tyce and with Cade, because they were coming over from UT Arlington. So you know, I think he hit 14 home runs last year there, and so just clearly has has good power, and has, you know, taken advantage of the opportunities when he's gotten pitches to hit and hadn't missed them. And so I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I've had this thing for a long time. So if somebody else can break it, that would be fantastic. I would be so excited for him. And it sounds like you know, again, our stories have a little bit of a similar timeline. True. So for him to be able to jump in and do something like that his senior year would just be fitting, I think. So
hit one over the batter's eye on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
417.
Yeah. It's clearly power is one of his tools in his bucket for sure. So
no question, as it was for you too. And he's doing you proud, I would say. You know, if he's going to take your record, he's done something, and he's a great guy, great addition to the team this season. And it's great that it gives us an opportunity to catch up with you. We should do it more often.
I appreciate it.
Tell us about your family. You're up in Overland Park, Kansas now. Is that right?
Yes. I've been up here for 20 years. We moved up here in 2005, and so that's my son and that's my daughter. In fact, my daughter is graduating from Clemson next weekend, and my son is graduating from high school the following weekend, and he'll be starting at Clemson in the fall as well. So, and then my beautiful wife there, that 26 years of marriage. So I'm not sure how she's put up with me for that long.
Congratulations.
But she has. And so, been very blessed. And been up here. Your story about the roadside assistance. I'm an insurance agent myself, so I can relate to some of those phone calls and understand kind of how that goes. So I've been very blessed. I've been fortunate with Baylor coming up to Lawrence and KU. I've been able to get over there and see them play. Generally, when they're up here in Lawrence, it's only about 45 minutes away, and so
love it.
It's been a good way to stay connected. There actually is a fairly large population of Baylor alumni and families that from this area that attend Baylor. So I definitely see some green and gold around here in the Bear Claw. So it's always nice to see when I see the green and gold for sure.
Nice, man. Well, it's so great to catch up with you. You're a good man, Charley Carter. I love
appreciate
you.
Love thanks for thinking of me. Yeah, thanks for. I did watch. I think I did have a game on a couple of weeks, and Tyce was up, and they were just talking about closing in on the record, and I heard my name, and I was like, oh, that So they haven't forgotten about me yet, so that's good. So
we're not going to forget about you ever. So and thanks for catching up. We really appreciate your time this morning. Stay in touch, will you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invitation. Look forward.
Man, thanks very much, Charley Carter, one of Baylor's all-time greats, had one of the all-time great seasons in 1998.